Josayet sarva karmani.
Josayet sarva karmani.
Vidvan yukta samacharan.
Vidvan yukta samacharan.
Na buddhi bhedam janayet.
Na buddhi bhedam janayet.
Ajnanam karma sanginam.
Ajnanam karma sanginam.
Joshayet sarva karmani.
Joshayet sarva karmani.
Vidvan yukta samacharan.
Vidvan yukta samacharan.
Na buddhi bhedam janayet.
Na buddhi bhedam janayet.
Ajnanam karma sanginam.
Ajnanam karma sanginam.
Joshayet sarva karmani.
Joshayet sarva karmani.
Vidvan yukta samacharan.
Vidvan yukta samacharan.
Word for word translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Prabhupada.
No, na, not.
Na, do not.
Buddhi bhedam.
Buddhi bhedam.
Disruption of intelligence.
Disruption of intelligence.
Janayat.
Janayat.
He should cause. Ajnanam.
Ajnanam.
Of the foolish. Karma sanginam.
Karma sanginam.
Who are attached to fruitive work.
Attached to fruitive work.
Joshayet.
Joshayet.
He should dovetail.
Dovetailed.
Sarva.
Sarva.
All.
Karmani.
Work. Vidvan. A learned person. Yuktaha. Engaged. Samacharan. Practicing. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So as to not disrupt the minds of ignorant men.
Let not the words disturb the minds of ignorant.
Attached to the fruitive result of prescribed duties.
Attached to the fruitive results of the prescribed duty.
A learned person should not induce them.
A learned person should not induce them.
Stop
work.
Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion.
Rather by working in the spirit of devotion.
He should engage them in all sorts of activities.
He should engage in all sorts of activities.
For the gradual development of Krishna consciousness.
For the gradual development of Krishna consciousness.
Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vedesha sarvair aham eva vedyaha. This is the end of all Vedic rituals. All rituals, all performance of sacrifice, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all direction of material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. But because of the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they studied Vedas to that end. But though the fruitive activities and sense gratification regulated by the Vedic rituals is one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all the work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. Although ignorant men is not to be disturbed in his activities, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow Vedic rituals because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. Hare Krishna. Oh, I forgot to share the slide. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamai Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakam Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupa Sagarachatam Saganatam Tam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savaduktam Parijaya Sahitam
Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha
Krishna Padam Shri Laitasha Vishakha Vitamascha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu
Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika
Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana
Janalavange Radhe Mriddha Madeshwari
Rishabhanu Sute Devi
Devi Pranamami Hari Priye
Vancha Kalpataru Kripakan Bhagya Evata Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vakadi Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Thank you again, everyone, for joining in. So this is like, in the last verse spoken by Amritananda Prabhu and before that by Madhupati Prabhu, they spoke about the prescribed duties of and now we're coming to like this part where like how devotees should deal with other people, who are like lesser intelligent people, like who are actually engaged in fruity work. They're working for like sense gratification. So if you read in the translations, it said, "Let not the wise disrupt the minds of ignorance who are attached to fruitive action. They should be encouraged to refrain from work. They should not be encouraged to refrain from work, but to engage in the work in the spirit of devotion." What Krishna is telling Arjuna here is like, if somebody is just doing fruity work just for sense gratification, those people who are in Krishna conscious, they see that they should not actually disturb them. They should just let them be. And the reason Krishna gives is like, like they're working anyway. If you tell them to stop working, they might get disturbed because they don't want to stop. A lot of people, if you tell them to stop their sense gratification, they get upset, and so and they might think, okay, if you try to explain philosophy to them, they may not understand, and in fact, and many people might actually become inimical to Krishna conscious because they're trying to take away your sense gratification. But what Krishna is telling them, but to engage them, work in the spirit of devotion. So what the devotee should do is like, let them continue to carry out their work, but it should, in the spirit of devotion, the results of the work should be dedicated to Krishna, which is, which is karma yoga, like where you're acting, you're working, but instead of like trying to enjoy the work, the results of the work, you're actually surrendering them, or you're giving them up to Krishna. But then it's not a very easy process. So like in the purport, if you say, Srila Prabhupada starts the purport by saying, Vedecha sarver aham eva vedya. Now this is a part of verse 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, which goes, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritirjanam apohanam cha vedesha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit Veda with eva chaham. Translation, I'm seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I'm to be known, and indeed, I'm the compiler of the Vedanta, I'm the knower of the Vedas. So I've taken that part of the purport, which kind of relates to this verse, which reads as, by performing Vedic rituals, discussing Vedic philosophy, and worshiping the Lord in devotional service, he is attained. Therefore, the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Krishna. Vedas give us direction to understand Krishna and the process of understanding. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanta Sutra confirms this in the following verse, Tu tat samanvayat. One can attain perfection by understanding Vedic literature, and one can understand his relationship with Supreme Personality of Godhead by performing the different processes. Thus, one can approach him and at the end attain the supreme goal. There is no other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, however, the purpose of the Vedas, the understanding of the Vedas, and the goal are very clearly defined. So, so this in this sentence, which like, oh my goodness, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedya. So that's the end of all Vedic rituals. What we just read out was like the purport, and the purport after that verse is like whatever way, ultimately it must connect to Krishna. Vedas are meant to know Krishna, and there is like a step-by-step process in knowing Krishna. And so like that brings us to what we went over like a few weeks ago as a yoga ladder. So I'll just go over the yoga ladder in brief, because we have already I think it was during that, we had the session on the Bhagavad Gita, like a detailed session on the Bhagavad Gita. Akhilesh Krishna Prabhu, he went over, and it's like, I think he went over one of these slides. So, and this is from, the slide is from a site run by Rompad Swami, and he's described the yoga ladder in complete detail. So anybody who's interested can actually go to Rompad Swami's website and see it. But this is just a brief of how the yoga ladder works. And yoga, we all know, is the meaning is link. Yoga means to link or connect, and the ultimate bhakti yoga means when our desires are connected or linked to the desire of Krishna. And there is a step-by-step process. So initially, man is like, as Amritananda Prabhu was saying, man is different from animals in a way, like he has this spirit of inquiry. Otherwise, everybody is doing the same thing: eating, mating, defending, and sleeping. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That's all. And the only thing that differentiates man from other animals is the spirit of inquiry. But most people are still on, an animalistic level. So to get them up from an animalistic level to a higher level, there is the process of, the karma kanda. Vedic literature consists of mainly two broad parts, which is like the karma kanda section and the jnana kanda section. So karma kanda section involves all work, how to elevate oneself through rituals, and then finally work. And the jnana kanda is where there's the knowledge of the absolute personality of Supreme Personality of Godhead. But even the jnana kanda section is very impersonalist. It consists of the Upanishads and Upanishads mainly. So if one studies that, you get a very impersonal understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in that section, there's also the Shrutis, which actually, sorry, not Shrutis, the Smritis, which is like the Puranas and the Itihasas, which actually give you, a personal understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we can see how these Vedas actually, take a person, if he actually evolves from a very animalistic situation to a pure devotee. So the first part is the karma kanda, where a fruity worker performing rituals for the elevation to heavenly planets, regulated sense gratification according to scriptures. So what karma kanda does is, it brings a person in touch with the Vedic rituals. In other words, the Vedas. They also learn to regulate their senses and activities. So when that happens, they're forced to have, or they kind of develop a sense of detachment. And also because the rituals, because of the rituals work, there is an increased faith in the Vedas. They also come in touch with like brahmanas who actually, who are doing the sacrifices for them. And the brahmanas mostly are learned people, so they can give them like some kind of knowledge and spirituality. So this may actually awaken their like spirituality, because after some time, what happens is people like they get tired of sense gratification. They're looking for something more. So then there is this sense of inquiry comes into them. So then they may start like offering certain part of their work, to Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's when they come to the part, like when they actually like karma yoga starts. Again, in karma yoga, like Brahma Swami explains, there are two kinds. One is the sakam karma yoga, and then the nishkam karma yoga. So the sakam karma yoga, you're actually doing the work, work with the results of like, you want to enjoy the results of your fruity work, but yet you offer some of it to Krishna. Like you may you may give like some money or offer some of your time to serve in the temple, or those kind of things. And because of that, eventually he might there might be more attraction towards the Lord, but then he still cannot give up his idea of working. But then he dedicates all his work to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's when that's when the process of Nishkama Karma Yoga starts. Or that's when, that's a process of Yukta Vairagya, where you use all your talents and everything in the service of the Lord. So the results are like dedicated to the Lord. And because of that, again, his interest in spirituality goes up a little step further. And then he comes into that he wants to know more. So he kind of, there's a spirit of inquiry. So he starts learning more about the Vedic literature. And then that's the process of like Jnana Yoga. Now, the fruits of the work are renounced. But then there is this, speculation, and there is a interest in knowing about the Lord. So he studies the Vedas. So there is further understanding of the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then because of that, then some of them maybe want to actually meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because of that, they start taking up the Ashtanga Yoga. Now, Ashtanga Yoga is, it's got like it's called Ashtanga Yoga because it's got 8 limbs. The 8 limbs are like, you start from Yama, Niyama, then Asana, then there is Pranayama, Pratyahara, then finally there is Dharana, and then Dhyana, and finally Samadhi. Samadhi is like when you're actually meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like, in complete attention. Now, there may be like 2 kinds. Again, there are 2 kinds. Some of the people who are in Samadhi may be actually meditating on the impersonal Brahman, but otherwise they might be, meditating on like the Paramatma form of the Lord. And those who are meditating on the Paramatma form of the Lord, because they're meditating, they may kind of they get more inquisitive about, and then they start like doing devotional service, and that's when the Bhagwan, when you start doing devotional service, you're rendering service to the Personality of Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's when the bhakti comes. That's when, but like actually for like if you go back to the purport. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in a way that ignorant person working for sense may learn how to act and behave. Although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in an activity, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may be engaged in the service of, without waiting for for the other Vedic formula. So what Srila Prabhupada is saying, the wise people, what they should do, if they see that somebody is a little bit, aware of Krishna, they come there in the stage of like Nishkam Karma or even Sakam Karma, then they should be encouraged to actually, work in, they should be to engage in devotional service, so they don't have to go through this process of Janakanda and Ashtanga Yoga to Bhakti. So that's actually a very slow process. So, but this engaging directly in devotional service, someone without any knowledge, if his sufficient faith or like Shraddha, like in the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, like we were reading it the other day in our Bhakti Vriksha, somebody's got even a little bit of Shraddha, he can be engaged and in devotional service, and that's like a super fast elevator straight to Bhakti. So, but again, like one has to be very careful to whom they are imparting this devotional, like trying to explain devotional service. It's quite possible, like people who are engaged in work, they're like, there are two kinds. One is like people who don't like to work, that they're completely in the mode of ignorance. So if you tell them to, if you try to make them understand, they're not going to understand anyway. So unless they get some sukriti or some mercy from a very highly elevated soul, they're just going to be there. But other people are working for sense gratification. If you try to explain to them again about the devotional service, like I was saying before, they may get upset because they think like, oh, you're trying to stop my sense gratification. A lot of people don't come to our temple. They probably come for prasadam, but they don't stay for the lecture, or they come after the lectures just for the prasadam. You know why? Because they don't like to listen to the pravachan or lecture, because the pravachan makes them like feel guilty, and they don't like it because it kind of makes their sense gratification guilty. So such people, like if you engage them too much, what happens is they could get angry, they could get inimical, and they may stop coming to the temple at all. So such persons, we should just let them continue to work, because continue to work is better than but how we can engage them is like we can give them prasadam. And another way we can influence them is like being examples ourselves in how we practice. So if they notice like how sincere the devotees are, they are going to be they are going to be attracted to the devotees. Other ways, like some people who might not even be coming to the temple, like how can you engage them? You can give them. Before that, I wanted to go over something else. Like Srila Prabhupada said, like one of the like we have this 10 offenses while chanting the Maha Mantra, and one of the offenses is to instruct a faithless person in the glories of the holy name. So that's what I was saying. Like we have to be careful how we approach people who are not devotees. So if you're giving them like if you're giving them the holy name, or telling them about of devotion, they might get angry, and they might cause further offense to the holy name, and that offense might actually come back on us. But another thing is, like Srila Prabhupada says in one of the purports, this is text 29 of the same chapter. He says, but the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord, because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they take all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which is absolutely necessary for the human being. So the devotees of the Lord, like someone like Srila Prabhupada, he came all the way to the West, like he was so merciful. He came all the way to the West, and he gave the Bhagavad Gita to people who had absolutely no understanding of, soul or God or anything. That shows the qualities of a devotee. Krishna is telling here, do not disturb people who are engaged in fruitive work. But devotees of the Lord, they want to take Krishna's name even to them at their own peril. Like they don't care what offenses might come on to them, but somehow or other they want to give Krishna to other people. I mean, obviously, most of us are of not that level. We're not like Srila Prabhupada, but we can try to engage them in other ways. Like we could actually, if they're non-devotees, like maybe belonging to some other religion or something, you could actually give them a cookbook. You could start giving them a cookbook, a vegetarian cookbook. How so at least, and if they start eating vegetarian food, at least some of their bad karma is gone. And then if they read more, they will understand. Like if they do a little bit of research, they'll understand why vegetarian food is important, and they might come to understand the benefits of sattvic eating. Other thing, again, you can actually give them a little Bhagavad Gita and tell them, like, whatever God you believe in, you can actually instead of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, just replace the name with like Allah or Jehovah, whatever God you believe in, and read the Bhagavad Gita. You'll get your love for your deity, the deity you worship will increase, because Srila Prabhupada has said, like, Jesus, Jehovah, and Allah are actually Krishna himself, is just other names for him. But only thing is, like, it's impersonal. So you could actually give them the Bhagavad Gita, and if they are like one day they might just pick up and read it. Otherwise, they won't read it. It'll just remain. It's still beneficial for them. Like Sakshila, somebody who takes the Bhagavad Gita, his spiritual journey in Krishna consciousness started. So it might take them a little longer, but it's still there. So finally, what Srila Prabhupada is saying here is, sorry. I'm going back to the purport. Yeah, it's like people who, some people who are like, although ignorant men are not to be disturbed in this way, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person directly may be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. So such people, for this fortunate man, there is no need to follow Vedic rituals. Because in direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results simply by following the prescribed duties of a particular person. So people who take up devotional service, like we said before, they don't have to go through all this, the different steps of the yoga ladder. It's a fast forward elevator for them, and they are already engaged in. And when they do that, like, eventually their devotion increases. And when their devotion increases, like, they start getting more and more serious, and they engage in they come to the stage of bhava bhakti, or so it's very important. Like whoever is engaged in, like, somebody who's like a little bit engaged in devotional service, you have to encourage them to do more. But somebody who is not at all a devotee, we just leave them. We engage them in some other means, but we just kind of we don't talk to them directly about Krishna. We give them prasadam, or we give them some books, etc. So, and somebody who's engaged in Krishna, a little bit of Krishna, we encourage them to do more devotional service. So this is like, I'll finish here, and we can discuss in case we have any, comments or questions or anything. Hare Krishna. Haribol. I hope.
Haribol, Prabhu, we are there.
Prabhuji, would you like to add a little more on
I think you covered it very well. Maybe just open it for group discussion with all the Prabhus and Matajis for their sharing their thoughts. I would suggest perhaps in trying to share Krishna consciousness and what experiences they may have had. That way everyone can get a flavor. If that's okay with you, or if someone has a question, they can ask you.
Sure. If anybody has a question, if nobody has a question, like right now, I can tell you like little experience of mine about how. So anybody has a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. No, not a question. I also want to share my experience, but that's all. You can go on.
No problem. After you.
No, I just, the fact that, as much as we are also learning and growing in Krishna consciousness, many times, we feel, I wouldn't say ecstatic, but yeah, we feel blessed. We feel, I would say ecstatic also at times, and the feelings are very immense. And then you really want to share with somebody. You're right. So we have to be careful in terms of who we're talking to, because people have to have a faith, and it's, I don't know, but it's difficult to preach somebody, your immediate, relatives, then your friends, then strangers out there, when we go out for book distribution or meet people, out on the Nagar Sankirtan, then it's much easier, and I don't know, I feel more successful there. I don't know if that's experience which you might or anybody might have also.
Yes, Prabhuji, like a lot of people, because, many random people, they come to Krishna consciousness because people are going on Nagar Sankirtan and they get a piece of literature. And you never know, like somebody might be like having a devotee in his previous life, but for some reason in this lifetime, he's not been attached to Krishna, but Nagar Sankirtan is a way, it's like an instrument by which they kind of, they kind of come in contact with the devotees. And that might be like an impetus for them to, inquire more. They get a piece of literature in which the address of the temple might be there. And we had a devotee who would come to a Bhakti Vriksha. I think his name was Napoleon. He was like, he was a Filipino devotee. And he had never been to a temple, but for some reason he was like, he knew everything about Krishna consciousness just by being on the internet. And one day, I believe he was actually, he was working for the postal department, and I think he came to Simeshwar Prabhu's house, saw pictures of Krishna. Mm-hmm. And then he started attending our Bhakti Vriksha like for years regularly. Then I don't know what happened to him. He went away, I don't know. But that's how people come to Krishna consciousness. I'm sure like even if he's gone or if he stopped temporarily, at some point, he's going to start, because once you're a Krishna devotee, that never goes away. And then regarding Prabhu, my opinion about like, preaching to relatives is like, you can't preach to them directly. The only way, like we said, you can give them a book, which probably they'll keep it in their shelves. But other thing you can do is like, for relatives is like, you can take them prasadam and you can show them like how sincere you are. Of course you have to be sincere, not show them. If you are sincere, they will actually notice it, especially close families like parents, brothers, sisters.
Right.
They will notice like how, if you're really sincere, they'll see. If you're pure, now Srila Prabhupada says purity is the force. So if you're pure, it'll come across, the purity that is inside you will actually come out. It'll kind of emanate. And when they see you do like, they will be curious, they'll inquire more. And they will like they will also come into the path. They might not like become complete, but at least there'll be some kind of sakam karma, some interest, and eventually they'll progress. That's how. So to relatives, unless they'll ask you, don't kind of try to like preach to them, like badger them with Krishna consciousness, like especially relatives. So that's my understanding, Prabhu.
I agree, Prabhuji. Thank you. The fact that lead by examples, and you should reflect your your conscious, to them, and behave and practice and come out so that they can understand. Okay, it's first you following it, and it's working fine in you, and then
Yeah.
maybe they get attracted. Sure.
Yeah, the best way of preaching is being an example yourselves.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Anybody else?
Maybe if some Mataji can share her realization. No, Mataji's all silent. Can you hear me? My mic is unmuted.
No, we can hear you, Prabhuji.
Okay, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes this mic misbehaves. Any Mataji?
We can hear you, Prabhuji.
Mataji, if you can share your experience, so there are so many Matajis, I think there may be more Mataji.
Yeah, I always share, Prabhuji. Let somebody else, I think I have shared like a lot earlier too. Maybe Prabhuji, Subal Prabhu wanted to share, so he can go ahead and.
No, I kind of, it's not very important, Mother. I was just going to say, like, the way, like, I started associating with the devotees, and like how I got, is like, like when I was in college, there were, the devotees used to be distributing prasadam. Like, so I used to be like very attracted to the food they were prasadam they were distributing. So every day I would have lunch there, and instead of going to the college canteen or whatever, so I would go and eat it, and they were giving like very nutritious, delicious food at a very cheap price. And the reason I would go there was because first of all, it was cheap and it was very tasty. So, and they would give this halwa, I loved it. So I would go there every day. So that's probably like that kind of made me probably go to the temple. And then in the temple, like after, this was actually New Zealand, Auckland. So there they did not have any paper plates. So what they had was there was this steel plates. So after the prasadam was over, so some devotees would get together and start washing those plates. So initially, like I was a bit reluctant, but actually my wife, she would join and she would like start washing the plates. It was the place all the devotees had eaten. There were steel plates, and so then it started happening every Sunday. And when this happened, then like the devotees started kind of noticing us, even though we were kind of new. Then they started inviting us to their Bhakti Viksha programs and home programs, and eventually then there was no going back. Then it became like that's how it happens. So if you like if you give prasadam to other people, and sometimes you can ask them to engage them, you can engage them in a little bit of service, they might, then they see how sincere the devotees are, they'll get attracted more to the to Srila Prabhupada's movement, and that's how it starts for many people. It was just my personal experience.
It's very similar to mine, Prabhuji. My family also.
Yes.
We started going to the temple, just have darshan. Darshan was the main attraction, and of course the cleanliness and the the shringar was so beautiful, and just you would fall for it and just stand there, and then come back and slowly prasadam, and then moving from prasadam to seva to then senior devotees, interacting with them, and then going to, I was in Delhi, and so going to Mathura, Vrindavan, taking her tours with senior devotees, and doing Govardhan Parikrama. Slowly, yes, it went on. So it was nice.
Yes,
Very
Prabhuji. Yeah. Timeshwar Prabhu is there, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Sorry, I was a bit busy with my office work.
Oh,
Sorry.
no. I just wanted to know if you can like tell more about Napoleon. Remember Napoleon?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
how he came, and then I don't know, he disappeared, but
Yes.
how
Yeah.
he
Then exactly. He was from China. He was
from
he was
Philippines.
working in the USPS and came here for quite some time. And he was very nice person from the beginning. What happened? He was so interested. He was so enthusiastic, and he was reading all the books. Then he got a problem from his family. I think something happened in his family, and then wife was against, and then he had to just just to cope up with that. Then he's just but still I think he moved from here, and then he was very very prone to Krishna conscious movement, Srila Prabhupada's books, and the principles, the Krishna was very good, but
Yeah.
yeah.
The thing was, he came to know everything online. He had never been to a temple, nothing. But just then he saw you. He came to your house like as a work, and then he saw like the pictures of Krishna, and that's how he started, right? Like something like that, if I remember. So the point here is like how even though Krishna says in the like we should not disturb other people who are engaged in fruitive work, but some like the devotees, they go out of their way, even though like and sometimes, and that can actually lead those people to Krishna. So that's the whole point. Like the devotees have to make that they must get out of their comfort zone and try to engage other people, like be it by book distribution, Harinam Sankirtan, distributing prasadam, or whatever other ways you can.
I personally like the word outreach instead of preach, because preach kind of has a negative connotation that I know more than you do. I know what to do, what not to do. So
Yes.
you just listen to what I'm saying and do as I tell you to. And especially in current times, religiosity, you'll hear many people saying, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. That's become almost like a fad. Nothing organized or nothing systematic, whatever is. So to share Krishna consciousness requires, first of all, most important in my experience is listening skills, not speaking skills, it's listening. Whether it's your relative, it's your buddy, or a total stranger, we need to empathize with the person and his situation and very quickly understand when you meet someone who's new, or if he's a friend, you'd already know what drives that person, what he likes, what he dislikes, or relative. So we have to be excellent. A devotee should be an excellent assessment of a person and his situation, and accordingly to that present it. Straight away, if you come and tell someone, Prabhu, please chant, that's the only way, that's the only way, that's the only way. The other person will think, who the hell are you to tell me this? Either he'll have his own brand of connection with the Supreme or whatever it is. So outreach would require one to be empathize, more very important. What is that person going to? And then talk in a language which that person would understand and appreciate. How you talk to School child is completely different how you talk to a college kid or to an adult or a professional or a parent or a retired person, a senior citizen. So that becomes, I'll give you an example. One of my sales guy had come home. We were going on a trip. So I had come home to collect my suitcase from work. And he was sitting in the living room. We had deities, African American gentleman. So he saw the deities, and in those days we just had the picture of Radha Gopinath on the altar and the Guru Parampara, very simple altar. So he looked and he's saying, "Who's that?" So I said, "That is God." Now he's Christian by faith. He's saying, "That's God." I said, "Yeah." So he went to the altar and he knelt and he was peering at the photograph of Radha Gopinath. So he's saying, "Oh man, your God plays flute." So I said, "Yeah, he plays flute and he can also talk in the language of birds and he can talk in the language of animals and he can make animals dance." He's saying, "Really?" And he's saying, "Who's she next to him?" I said, "That's God's girlfriend." And that blew his mind up. It blew his mind up. Now, if we say that, Haladini Shakti and his pleasure potencies and things like that, he's saying your God has a girlfriend. Man, I want to worship such a God. My God is an old man sitting in heaven only judging people and sending them to hell. So the point I'm trying to make over here is that in a language which a person can understand, of course, he took these small books, which are their perfect question, perfect answers. And he left the job later on and went on. But that was a very interesting reaction. He said that, "Oh man, your God has a girlfriend. That's so nice. My God just sits in heaven and sends people to hell." So yeah, I think how we empathize with somebody and how we can listen to that situation rather than, just bombard them with our knowledge. That makes a huge difference. Like what you said, Subala, your actions, what Puneet Prabhu said, the sincerity, that speaks louder than words.
Yes, from me.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a question. I'm very new to ISKCON, Prabhuji. So I have like little apprehension about how all the devotees carry the tilaka in public. Like, are we supposed to wear it? Like, suppose we go for grocery or we are meeting friends, and if we wear it, how should we represent ourselves? Because I feel that it's a big responsibility on us. If we are representing Krishna, then we become like an example for others. So we need to be like, is that a responsibility on us? Like it all generates from wearing the tilaka. So how to carry it?
I'll just give you my Mataji. I don't wear tilaka always. I only wear it when I go to the temple. When I go to work, and I don't wear it. Probably it's probably not a very good example. Like if you look at Dimeshwar Prabhu, he wears tilak everywhere. So he kind of stands out. And yes, and when you wear tilak, I mean, I do wear like water tilak, but not the actual tilak. So we're supposed to do that every day. As Vaishnavas, we're supposed to wear tilak. So we do water tilak, but I'm like a little shy, so I don't. But Simeshwar Prabhu is like, he's an example. He wears tilak everywhere. But as you said, if you're wearing tilak, or even if you're not wearing tilak, you are a devotee in your heart. So it is important that you said you are like, you remember like, you're representing Krishna. And I think that's the way. Don't try to be artificial. Be the natural person you are. If thinking you're representing Krishna if it influences you to be a better person, go for it. Do it. But at the same time, don't be like feel forced and don't feel constricted. Like otherwise, eventually you get tired and you might not do it anymore. So, so whatever makes you feel comfortable and whatever makes you be a better Krishna conscious person, Mataji, that would be my answer. And Simeshwar Prabhu, Amritananda Prabhu, anyone can give a better answer, like, you know.
Yeah, Prabhu. Personally, I like to wear tilaka. I like to carry it. Just that because I'm new to it, so I think people are still getting used to
Don't worry
my
about other
tilaka.
people, Mataji.
So it's just
Don't
I
worry
love
about-
I love carrying it, but I don't know how to behave when I'm wearing it. That's what I need to learn.
You just need to be yourself. You just have to be like, you know, you have to follow the four regulative principles and like just be yourself.
So
You know?
one thing, Madaji. So we are coming in this world alone. We are going from this world alone. So if we, that's the one thing we always need to think about, because of otherwise, not only in this situation, we all the time we need to worry about others, what others will think, what others. But when we came alone and when we go back alone, nobody won't be with us. It's very important. Second thing, in the Srimad Bhagavad, which was proclaiming, it's mentioning the Vishnu Dudas, and there was a conversation between Vishnu Dudas and the Yamadudas when Yamadudas came to get Ajamula. Ajamula was a very nasty and wicked and lots of abominable things. And but by the mercy of just chanting the holy name Narayana, all his sins, gone, and then Vishnu Dudas immediately appeared because of now he is pure. Why Yamadudas wants to take him? So there was great discussion in between. They had a great argument, big argument between the Vishnu Dudas and Yamadudas. Then Yamaraj intervened. So Yamaraj came, and then Yamadudas appealed to Yamaraj. Yamaraj saw Vishnu Dudas, and Yamaraj could understand what was the situation. That time, Yamaraj mentioned that there was a question. So Yamaraj instructed to Yamadudas, you should not go even near to you should not have any courage even near go to the Vaishnavas that time after because of they're completely pure, which they chanted the holy name. So then Yamadudas asked this question, do I know that they are a Vaishnava? He is a Vaishnava. So Yamadud said that one who has a tilak on his forehead, one who has a tulasi mala on his neck, and this tilak is actually like Amardanda Prabhu. We can see that the beautiful tilak on the face. The exactly likes that a tilak over there. Now, as soon as Yamadudas see this, so Yamadudas will conclude that this is a Vaishnava. So that is the one reason. Even Srila Prabhupada, the devotees asked this question. One time, few devotees came from the office, and they were about to go to the office. Srila Prabhupada came to the airport, and they came to receive Srila Prabhupada. And as soon as they were in the pants, they were in the shirt, they were in the tie and coat and suit, they came to receive Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada said, wow, nice. So look at this. Srila Prabhupada pointed out these two gentlemen, these two devotees, and to show to others, look at that. Everybody should be like this. Everybody should have tilak at every time, wherever they go. Because of, it's not only that, it's actually infuse Krishna consciousness to others. As soon as one saw this tilak, naturally the Krishna consciousness comes into their mind, their heart. So that way you are giving the Sukriti to others. And so that they can pick up this Krishna consciousness, eventually. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur mentioned that one who does not put tilak on his forehead, that body is like a dead body. That body is like like a graveyard. So it's like even though he is alive, he is breathing like a in a blacksmith workshop, breathing, but there is no use. So there are so many ways it's mentioned that the importance of wearing tilak. Tilak is mentioned that it's a lotus feet of the Lord, and it's important that everybody should wear tilak as a Vaishnava. Yes, there are some certain situations, maybe you may go to wedding. I mean, still, if you can, you should wear a tilak. I mean, there is nothing, I mean, it's all up to you, Mataji. How do you take it? How do you feel it? But it is important. These are the facts, these are the scriptural injunctions, Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and why we should wear tilak all the time. So it's very important. So I just wanted to share that. Sorry. Take a little time.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So anything else? Anybody else has anything to add? Murdana Prabhu, like to add anything?
Prabhu, you and Subala Prabhu very nicely explained the thing about Tilak. Mataji's question, also Puneet Prabhu and others shared their experiences in sharing Krishna conscious. Thank you.
One thing I was very happy today to see you. You shaved your head. Like glowing.
Prabhu,
So nice to see you.
thank you to COVID. Actually, hair had grown long and I didn't want to go to a barber because I'm afraid of COVID. So I started doing it myself and it became short. So I said,
I was planning to do it, but my son came and asked, if you do it, I will also do it. I said, no. So everybody wanted.
actually,
I was wondering what was the difference. I saw you yesterday, Prabhu, but I honestly,
with a
beard, I couldn't make up.
You know, for my initiation, when I got initiated into the temple, I had normal hair. And Rupanaga Prabhu, one brahmachari, he says, Prabhu, if you can shave your hair, it'll shave your head, it'll be a nice offering. So I said, fine, let's do it. And he didn't have the buzzer. All he had was a razor, the safety razor with shave. And it's almost impossible to shave your head with that. The hair has to be short if you need to make it clean, close to the scalp. So he was struggling, and I was getting all cuts all over the scalp, a little bit here, a little bit there. And finally, Savita came up and she said, what are you people doing? So he said, I'm trying to shave my head. She said, okay, you apply soap and water and make a lather, and that's how it will go easier. So it went a little bit easy. And fine, I was able to shave and keep a shikha. Of course, now I have bald from behind. Where you keep a shikha, I don't have any hair growth over there. So my brother Mahaprabhu, he had come to the US and then he was staying with us. And then he heard from somebody, Savita shaved my head. So then he said, Mataji, what you have done is fantastic. She's saying usually hair is a symbol of pride. Like, hair, because crowning glory, jo kehte hain, is a symbol of pride. And women especially would like to have their husband to be looking young. But if you have gone and shaved your husband, आपने अपने पति को मुंडवाया is a Hindi Punjabi word, like you
Mundan.
shave. Yeah.
Mundan in Sanskrit.
Mundwaya, like kya aise. So, but anyway, my intention was to keep it short. It went short, too short. But anyway, I'm happy I did it.
You know what?
You're happy to see me like this. Vaishnav happy means goal of life, right?
Yes. I mean, it looks good. One thing I wanted to share, remember in 2003 or 2004, you got initiated and you completely shaven and you were sitting outside on the first aid squad. Remember?
Yeah.
You were greeting all the devotees coming and say Hare Krishna to all of. I think that you just got initiated maybe 2 days ago or something like that.
Correct.
And I think that
2003.
Yeah, exactly. That's the time I came over and I met. You were he was sitting there and he came to me and, Hare Krishna, and we had a good conversation that time. And may not remember, but
Of course, lovely days. Lovely
days,
days of
yes.
ICNJ. I think Jai Prakash Prabhu was another one who was the early, and now it's grown into such a wonderful congregation. Yes, Devkinandan's house was Prabhuji's garage. We used to keep everything. And I used to always tell him the Shri Upanishad verse, Om Purnam, the Purnamidam. That garage, though it had physical boundary, it had only that much size. The amount of stuff that we used to stuff in over there, it started with those mats, 150 mats. Then it was with all the cooking utensils. Then the altar came, Kalpa made the altar. Then the Sunday school drama, paraphernalia. And somehow or the other, it would just accommodate. And we would unload from his, put it in his van and my van, and in the night go and put it back in the garage. And while loading, Devkinandan Prabhu's favorite pose would be his one hand is on the waist and other hand is scratching the back of his head. What is where? What did we keep where? Somehow it would be found. Somehow it would be found. Great days. Great days. Thank you for reminding that. The level of enthusiasm, my God.
Yeah. Remember, we used to go to the temple. What is that for cooking? We were on the same. We were on the same team. Remember?
Yes.
You were a great cook that time.
Learned
so
it.
like you.
Mother,
Sumari Mother.
they were the
Sumari
first
Mother.
to cook. Sunday programs would actually start on Saturday morning because you go and do the grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And then if they're making rajma or something, they had to boil it, and you don't have those big cookers. So Mataji's, Gundicha Mata and Savita Mata would in batches. Throughout the day, rajma is being boiled because you're making for a big crowd. And then in those buckets, you take it to Dwarkadish and bring those buckets. Oh man. Anyway.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, dear devotees. Yes, good to remember. Very nice. Wonderful. If anything else, anybody else wants to share anything? Okay, so let's then pay our obeisance to all the Vaishnava devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhasya Nanam pavanam
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class.
Thank you, Subal Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji.